turning your Raspberry Pi into a Kali Linux laptop with a lab dock. This segment of Hak5 is brought to you by Domain.com.
Hello, welcome to Hak5. My name is Darren Kitchen.
I'm Shannon Morse.
It's your weekly dose of Technolust.
Yes, it is. And you know what? Last week I saw you carrying around this cute little laptop.
Oh.
And I wanted to find out what this thing is because it's adorable.
Okay.
Oh
So
my god.
remember when we went to CES in like 2009 and Sony was showing off like some $1,600 netbook that no one was going to buy?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out no one bought it, and so now it's like $300 on Amazon.
I would totally buy this thing. I could stick this in my purse.
Don't emasculate my
and
crypto
I can carry it with
top.
me, and it'll be a little purse. It'll be my purse laptop.
This is an air gap machine used for. You don't even. Yeah.
It's an air gap machine?
Yes.
Well, that's cool.
the idea.
I like air gap machines. I have a small laptop too. Inexpensive and fun.
I love cheap thrills, so lay it on me.
He would.
What?
So you remember Kali Linux, right?
Kelly Lewis?
Yes, exactly. So when was that back in it was 1408. So I did this whole episode about a review of Kali Linux, which is basically a pen testing Linux, and it's a newer version of Backtrack as well. It's the new name of Backtrack, and it's based on Debian. Whee! So this means that we can also put it on a Raspberry Pi.
It's so cool to see all of like the amount of architectures that Kali has been ported to.
Yeah.
You've got, builds for all these tiny little ARM devices, which is fantastic because we're kind of starting to live in an ARM world. Like, have you seen it on the Note 10? It's really cool.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to try putting it on the Note 10. That would be really fun.
Well, I'm glad that you've been able to take, and actually this is the, what is this? This is the Raspberry Pi.
Yep, that's a Raspberry Pi in a little case.
This one was given to me by the Wireless Village from DEF CON.
Was it?
After Sebastian and I gave a talk there, and that was like the coolest gift, and I'm glad that we were able to put it to good use. And it seems only apt that would take the Wi-Fi, the Wireless Village Raspberry Pi and turn it into a Kali Linux box.
That's perfect. So my first thought on this was, why don't we try putting the Kali Linux on a Raspberry Pi and then porting this onto the Motorola Atrix lap dock so that we can use it as a laptop.
All right,
Does
tell
that
me
make
about
sense?
No, it makes a lot of sense because this is just a kind of a headless device. You've just got HDMI out and USB in.
But you still need like a monitor and a mouse and a keyboard. And since it takes USB mouse and keyboard and the monitor, which is HDMI out, I believe, I can plug it into the Motorola Atrix, which is just a Atrix lap dock. And I can run everything on Kali Linux onto this monitor right here.
So I remember when these,
so I have a laptop now.
When these first came out, the idea with these was like, oh, you get this, and then you plug your cell phone.
Yeah, you put your cell phone in there.
You've got to get the special cell phone, but if you've got the one special cell phone for it, you plug that into there, and now. Like this is like one of those things in server environments where you like pull out and there's a keyboard and a mouse and a monitor that flips up.
Exactly.
It's the same kind of idea.
It is.
Except they had some funky proprietary connectors.
Yeah, and since it was only for the Atrix, we ran into that issue where the Atrix got discontinued.
And
but
also
now
this thing failed. This failed bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Motorola, but cool idea. Maybe if there was like a universal standard for it to work with all Android phones, it may have done better.
Yeah, I agree. That would have been cool. But since we found a second device and a second way to be able to use this now, I think we have quite a few of these maybe that we could put in the hack shop or something.
Yeah, sure. We got a couple of them. I mean, the thing is, I love the idea of breathing new life into old hardware that it was not expected to perform.
Me too.
And now that I forget what they were, like $300 or something. They're like, like $80 now. They're nothing. It's so horrible. Great. So,
They were way too expensive back in the day. So I have two running right here. So the first one we have running off of its charger, and then we have an MK802.
Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah. So we just plug this in via the HDMI out, and then we have USB right here for power. And then we also have this one for the mouse and the keyboard.
So this has actually been done before. I've seen an article on like how to do this, but we took a totally different take here, didn't we?
Yes, we did. So with this one, and it's a little bit jittery because this is an older device that I have, but the Motorola laptop you can see on here.
Yeah. Oh, that's Android.
Yeah, I'm running Android. I have the mouse working, so I can play Angry Birds on here or whatever I want, get into the Google Play Store. Simple, simple, easy, easy. And it runs for like I think they tote 8 hours on the website for the Motorola Atrix lap dock. So I have to test it a little bit more to find out how long you can get out of the MK802 and the Raspberry Pi.
Well, the internal battery on this guy is basically running both of these, either of these devices, either the MK802 or the Raspberry Pi or whatever have you, just over USB.
And
right?
we've been running
5
it
volts.
for like half the day, so at least 4 hours.
I can't imagine that it wouldn't be somewhere near the claim. Like if they're claiming 8 hours, maybe 6, but still. It's pretty cool.
So another interesting thing about this is since it has this proprietary craziness going on the back of it, you need a couple of weird cables. Unfortunately, you can't really buy these cables anywhere. So either you can make them, which Adafruit, they made this entirely really good tutorial online, and we have a link to that one in the show notes. Or we also created these ones. So.
Okay, I must say, like, this was one of those things that is born out of necessity, like any geek, where I was talking to Jason, I'm like, dude, how cool would it be if we could, like make this a little sexier, because it was like 6 cables and adapters before, and we've been able to do this with 3. And he's like, that would be stupid to make one set. So he's like, well, how about I make you 100? And I'm like, all right, that's cool. So these are the most expensive cables ever if we don't get rid of 99 of them. So let's hopefully do that later.
Yes.
Yes. But otherwise, yeah, pretty cool, basic idea, even if, you don't get the sexy ones. Just with, it's like when you used to go to Radio Shack and be like, I need this to go to that. And they're like, well, we don't have a this to that, but if you go to this and this and that and that. Oh, yeah, that totally works.
I've been there. It's Radio Shack. Yay!
Yay!
So we got these cables working, and then we plugged it into the Raspberry Pi. And the first thing we needed to do was actually install Kali Linux onto a little SD card. Now, the thing about this is you really want to get one of those Class 10 8-gig SD cards or larger than that, so that it installs correctly and it's nice and fast on the lap dock once you start using it. So to install it, you want to use df-tac-h to check basically which SD it is, because you don't want to erase your entire hard drive, because that's no fun.
Right, because in Linux land, unlike Windows, you don't get like a drive letter, CD, E, whatever.
Yes, exactly.
You get, it'll show up as a device in /dev.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like SDA is not the one you want to format. No. And so it's going to differ depending on how many hard drives you have in your system or whatever have you.
Exactly.
I've always found df-tac-h to be the most convenient.
It is. It's easy because it gives you the name of your SD card. So, for example, mine was Canon because we use it for our Canon cameras.
There you go.
So I automatically knew SDB is the one that I needed. So after that, you use DD, another command in the terminal, to actually port your image onto the SD card and make it a nice little.
And you just grab this image
package.
off of KaliLinux.com.
Yeah. So it's DD space if equals Kali, whatever the image is called, and then of equals /dev/SDB for me, and then BS equals 512K.
IF is input file and OF is output
file. Exactly.
Because everything in Linux is a file.
Input
even
and output.
/dev/SDB is treated as if it were a file, even though it's actually a SD card. Isn't that so cool?
I love it.
I'm sorry, esoteric geekiness on that.
This is the stuff we do hack tips about Linux Terminal 101
Right.
for.
This is the stuff, though, that takes forever. I love DD. You can really F up a system with DD if you do it wrong, but I love DD. It does take a while.
And apparently, I didn't know this, but you let me know that DD actually does bit-for-bit copy, so there's no reason to format it beforehand.
Yeah, unlike UNet booting or any of those things, you're not actually like making a FAT32 file system, copying over your sys Linux, and then making it bootable. You're actually like, if you were to do a DD from this SD card to another similar SD card, it would be exactly the same.
So once you get everything installed on your SD card, and it does take a little bit of time, it'll probably take, I think mine took up to 10 minutes or so to actually copy over.
It was
probably less than that, but I left the room, so.
Dude, that's
It might have been like 5 or 7. Yeah.
I mean, it's not
something like that.
It's not like this thing is like a quad core, but it's still.
No, it was just copying to the SD card from my Linux machine, so.
No, I'm talking about booting. Booting.
But, booting off of this, it takes like 2 minutes at most. It's okay. It's kind of in the middle. I mean, Raspberry Pis, they're not the fastest machine on the market, so you're not going to get crazy speeds out of it. But obviously, it doesn't have that bad of lag, actually, just like opening up programs. But once you get into your programs, you're fine.
Cool.
So yeah, it's not that bad at all. So A couple of little notes also to mention: your host key, all of the host keys for the Kali Linux image are all the same. So you might want to change that. And I also have all of that information in the show notes as well. And you can also change your password with passwd in the terminal, and that's super easy.
What if you like keeping your password as Tor? Then
oh yeah, you could keep it as Tor if you want to
fun
get
to get
hacked.
in, you know?
Yeah.
That's like keeping your Wi-Fi pineapple with pineapples are yummy as the password.
Because that's super smart.
It's never gotten anyone in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. So once you actually get Kali Linux installed, and we'll go over here to my little camera, I actually have wireless or Wireshark running on here. And I also plug this into our local Ethernet so that we have this running. I'll go ahead and choose to start. And I'll already see packets running. So one I noticed was like, Dropbox keeps on trying to update and stuff like that. So
cool.
Yeah, Dropbox LAN Sync Discovery Protocol. Bam.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
It works just fine. I had no problems with it. It comes with all the normal applications that you get with Kali Linux, so there's really no big changes as far as it goes. It even has this nice top 10 security tools, so you can easily get in there and find whatever you need.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. You just turned a $40 Raspberry Pi B. I guess we should say this only works with the B, obviously, because you have to have the HDMI out. And I guess the 512 of RAM will help a little bit more than... I don't know if this would work on the slightly smaller version, but yeah, that's so cool. Thank you, Shannon, for breathing new life into old hardware and finally doing something really cool with this guy.
I could turn this into an air gap machine if I wanted to.
Hey, that's not a bad idea, actually. I've got a Raspberry.
Yeah, I could.
You've got another Raspberry Pi on your desk.
For DEF CON?
Totally.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, it's lightweight. The thing weighs like less than 2 pounds.
Sure.
I could totally take this to DEF CON with me.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll do that. Now stay tuned, because in just a bit we're going to have trivia, but first, a quick word from our sponsor. I want to take a quick moment to thank one of our awesome sponsors, Domain.com, because they have been hooking Hak5 up for years, and I want to thank them for hooking us up with the .nets. I've been using them personally for Darren Kitchen, for Hack Across America. .nets are awesome. As you guys know, they're globally understood. They're one of the first top-level domains. They're actually the third most popular in the world. Hey, how awesome is that? Everybody's figuring out that these .nets are a great alternative if the .com you want is taken, or go ahead and protect your brand and get that .net to go along with it. And you can get them the same place that Shannon and I do, over at Domain.com. They make it so easy to do business with them. They're affordable. I mean, $8.99 a year for a .net, and that's before you get the Hak5 hookup. And they're totally active on social media. You can tweet them at Domain.com. You'll see it's really a fun place to do business. So they're huge fans of Hak5 and your guys, so they want to get you 15% off their already affordable domain names and hosting. All you have to do is go to hak5.org, and that's our website. But you actually want to go to Domain.com. That's their website. You can go to ours too. And use the coupon code HAK5 at checkout, HAK5. That's 15% off and big time savings. So don't forget to use the coupon code HAK5. When you think domain names, think Domain.com.
Last week's trivia question was, what foundry created the Ubuntu typeface font found in Ubuntu operating systems? And the answer was Dalton Mag. Now this week's question is, the key size used for an AES cipher specifies the number of repetitions of transformation rounds that convert the input, called the plaintext, into the final output, called the ciphertext. Now what are the first 3 number of cycles of repetition? You can answer that at hak5.org/trivia for your chance to win some awesome Hak5 goodies.